What is going on, YouTube? Carter here. Got another video for you. We're taking a look at the sock. Something Obscene J-Cape version 3.5. I got to admit, when I first got into these J-Capes, or I guess when I was first looking at them, I saw the 3.5. I assumed it meant 3.5-inch blade. I know, newbie, right? Dumb. I'm so dumb. No, it's version 3.5. They are about to release version 4 coming up here soon. Ooh, look at that grind, baby. Coming up here soon. But the moral of the story here, this J-Cape, sorry guys, size does matter. Unfortunately, this proves it. I'm rocking the Strider mug, which does not go with this knife at all, but that's fine. That's cool. That's how we roll. That's how it is. It is what it is. Size does matter. I picked up, so I was drawn to, so for people that haven't seen, my older videos, older, quote unquote, not that old, on Something Obscene, I wanted to get into the company. They seemed cool. I really liked their aesthetic, their design. I liked Felix. He seemed like a really cool guy. Seemed like it kind of married, in my mind, it seemed like it was a marriage between kind of modern produced knives with bearings and all that kind of stuff, with kind of older school Strider-esque mentality, Emerson mentality, right? Had a little bit of an edge to it. It wasn't just little fidgety guys. It seemed a little cooler. So I was drawn to it, wanted to check them out. But they're hard to get, especially full-size J-Capes. This is like their, arguably their most popular model. Maybe the namely is, I don't know, it's hard to say for sure, but definitely one of the more popular models they produce. So the full size is hard to get, but minis were all over the place, and the LEKs, the LEKs were available. So I picked up a LEK and I picked up a mini J-Cape. I like the look of the LEK. The design style was good. Did not work well in the hand. It was too skinny. I couldn't manipulate the lock bar on it. It was hard to deploy it. So for that reason, I didn't really like it. And then the mini was just, I didn't like it at all. I didn't like it at all. It's really mini, really mini. So Something Obscene did something interesting with their mini, and it's truly a mini. Now that I like them again, I kind of wish I had kept it so I could use it for comparison. But usually when you do a mini version of a knife, this is a reasonably sized knife. I wouldn't say large, but it's not small. You know, it's a hefty knife. It's got some width to it. Got some beef to it, nice thick stock. But the mini, like usually when you do a mini version of the knife, it's, you know, it's like here, for example, this doesn't make sense, but we're going to do it. So here is an Elvia from Emerson, and then here's the Super Elvia from Emerson. You know, it's reasonably scaled down, definitely different size, different feel. But with the mini J-Cape, it's really a micro, right? I mean, they went right to micro. I mean, it is like the size of the handle almost. Like it is small. So I got that and I didn't like it at all, but I thought it was a close enough representation of this knife to say that I don't like J-Capes and maybe Something Obscene isn't for me. So later on, I got the bug to look at these again. And I sprung for one of these forum exclusive member J-Capes that they did. I really like the bronze with the black hardware. Not a fan of the black handle with the satin blade for some reason. I like it in Emerson's. I just didn't really like it in these. So one of these popped up and I bought it and I'm in love. I really, really like it. And it's crazy how different just having it be a bigger size is. Am I right? Am I right? It's a whole different feeling. So let's do some specs on this. Let's talk about it. Let's do measurements. A lot of cool things going on here. Version 3.5, they've done a lot of improvements over the years. It is a 3.5-inch blade. Coincidentally, that's not what the 3.5 stands for, but I wasn't incorrect in my assessment. Right to the top here is 3.5. You know, if you measure down to the choil here, it's more. You could say down to the flipper tab, it's like 3 3/4. You guys can see. You can see. You're on the other end of the camera. I act like I'm on an old-timey radio show. 8 and what? An eighth, 8 1/4, something like that total length. So decent sized knife but not a behemoth. And I think, man, it's a really, really good kind of marriage of sizes here. Let's do a weight, obviously, because I'm pulling this out. 4.9 ounces. So once again, not feather light, but considering it's full slab titanium, very impressed with the weight. They do a ton of milling. I can't see it, too much shadows though. Ton of milling in the handles, and so what that means is when you pick it up, it feels way lighter than what you expect. Similar to the Arius, and you know, I'm going to draw a lot of comparisons between this and the Koenig Arius, because I didn't like that knife, and I was very public about how I didn't like it. And I'm willing to, listen, I'm just a guy, I got opinions. I'm not trying to pretend like I'm some unbiased reviewer. That is not my jam at all. And I would argue people that pretend to be unbiased are actually more misleading than people that just admit, I'm just gonna like what I like. I'll try to articulate why I like things over other things. Sometimes it's real world things. Sometimes it's just a feeling. You know, I don't know, man. But there's a lot of comparisons between this and the Arius, and it does kind of make that review fall apart a little bit, because in that review I say, I don't really like drop shutty knives. That's not really true. I don't know why I said that. I mean, I do. I appreciate it. It's fun. It's fun to do. I do like all the features. This is similar. Like, to me, this is a Koenig Arius, but just edgier, cooler. I like the shape better. I just don't like the blobbiness or the neutralness of the Arius, and I don't know, I just like this way, way better, but there is a lot of things that are similar between this and that, right? They're both titanium frame locks, both really well done, super smooth, flips like a demon, super light, a lot of attention to detail, refined over the years, all that kind of stuff. So what are we rocking here? We've got CPM 20CV. It is CPM, right? Yeah, CPM. Trying to actually see with this reflection, got a little bit of oil in there. Yeah, CPM 20CV steel. You know how it is when you're a knife reviewer, guys out there, and there's things you know by heart, and then you get on the camera, and then you start futzing around, and you're like, oh, wait, what is it? Oh, crap, CR13 MOV, what is it? CPM 20CV steel, good enough, you know, good steel. I mean, it used to be amazing steel, right? Like, the steel game's getting a little ridiculous. Satin, belt satin finished blade. You can see it's satin on the flats, and then you can see kind of the machined grind lines. Hollow ground right here. Compound ground. Beautiful swedge. I love this blade shape. This extended harpoon. I mean, I don't know if this is still considered a harpoon with it being so far back. It's got this, it seems like a slight curve here. Maybe it's just an optical illusion. Tons of belly. Like, this blade shape is really, really freaking nice. I absolutely love it. Tons of utility. Look how thick that stock is. Decently thick tip. Not, you know, I kind of wish it was maybe a little bit thicker, but that's just me. But it does mean that you get a lot of sliceability. It's really thin behind the edge. Really high hollow grind right here. I mean, you know the drill. This thing is a slicing demon. And even on this flat ground part, it's still thin. So more robust than back here, but a lot of cutting ability up at the nose here. And that's kind of what all the young kids are into now. Knives that actually cut. I know, it's crazy, right? They want knives that cut well. Come on. My generation, it was knives that pry well. We're trying to make knives. My generation was trying to make knives anything but knives. Just kidding, but not kidding. Really nice. So titanium slabs on the handle here. I already mentioned all the milling. This has the beautiful blackened hardware, lock bar insert like you would expect from something like this. I threw on, this particular edition came with 2 pocket clips. It has the old school style with the lightning here. You can see that that's kind of the logo design language, is that lightning bolt. Some people complained it was difficult to get out of the pocket and would kind of shred it up because of these edges here. So they came out with a V2 pocket clip. I didn't bring it down here. Well, I've got it close by, but it doesn't matter. It basically just has the lightning insignia on the inside of the clip, and then it's smooth around the outside. Still looks cool, but I like this one. I haven't ran into any problems getting it in the pocket. In fact, the only problems I've had getting this in and out of the pocket has actually been the thumb studs. Because this is fairly wide, These thumb studs stick out quite a bit. This is what catches on my pocket and prevents me from putting it in more than the pocket clip. I would imagine, though, this is going to eventually kind of shred things up. I'm thinking, you know, if they just would have softened these corners here a little bit, they may have been able to keep this design without causing any frustrations. But it does look like it's got a kind of a light tumble on the titanium and the pocket clip, either before anodizing or maybe after anodizing. It just looks really good. This whole knife is just really well done. Titanium backspacer here, gear pattern, screws on both sides kind of holding it in. Good stuff. This particular one, I believe, only came in the thumb stud and flipper tab configuration. A lot of the times you get choices here. You can get both. You can get just thumb studs. You can get just flipper tab. Kind of up to you on what you want. Already mentioned the logo there, blah, blah, blah. Those are the materials. I think that's everything as far as the materials. Oh, it's, you know, it's running on bearings. This is made in China, OEM. I'm not sure who the OEM is on this one. I know Something Obscene have used, oh, I've got some patches here. Might as well get some background going on here. I know Something Obscene has used Riot on some of their stuff, but I don't believe they currently are. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But it is a Chinese OEM, and there's all sorts of fun shenanigans associated with dealing with Chinese OEMs. I've got some projections on that. I'm going to do a video maybe shortly after this on how I think that whole model is going to fall apart here soon, but we'll see. Yeah, so that's it as far as materials go. Now, let's talk about the meat and potatoes. This thing is just, man, the ergos on this are so good. And I'm not an ergo whore, but it's one of those things where when you haven't felt like a really good ergonomic, especially frame lock, it just feels so nice. Reverse grip on this thing is fantastic. You get this thumb shelf right there. Saber grip, hammer grip, it's all pretty good. You could argue maybe you get a little bit of a hot spot back here, but that's going to vary depending on your hand size, your hand chunkiness. You know, it's hard to do a blanket statement on all ergos. But I will say it's more ergonomic than it looks. Not that it doesn't look ergonomic, but it really works well in the hand. Flips like a demon. The lockup is rock solid. Like it's just done. Like the geometry on the lockup. And you know, I've been futzing around with Striders and Emersons lately, and you kind of forget what it's like when, you know, you don't ever have to really be concerned with that stuff so much. I'm trying to choose my words lightly here. I got to be careful. I don't want to upset fandoms. But it's just, I don't know. It was refreshing. It's been a while since I've had something like this in my hand. So to have something so smooth and so perfect, you know, the detent, oh, so nice. Ceramic ball bearing. It's all done good, right? It is. It's all done good. The manufacturer, they know what they're doing. They know how to make knives, and they know how to do them well. Now, that being said, I know that, you know, some of these have had issues. Some people have had some minor issues with some sloppiness. Haven't heard of anything major. No lock slippage, nobody getting hurt, nothing like that. But there has been some sloppy detents. And the other interesting thing about these knives is some of these are what they call ringers. So when you deploy them, they make like a cool ring sound. This one doesn't. Some of them do, some of them don't. I'm not sure what determines what is or isn't a ringer, but it's kind of a cool little sub thing, right? Like if there's a knife and it's a ringer, it's kind of held in more regard, right? Because that sound is just really cool. And I just find it interesting because I don't know why some would do it and some wouldn't. I don't know if it's an exact calibration of the pivot or something, or just because they can't, like, these things are machined like meticulously in order to get them to be so flawless. So I don't see how they could be different in terms of construction or thickness, or, I mean, they should all be the same, but there's got to be just some right combination that shows up that allows them to ring and others don't. But really like this knife. It's really cool. The design of this thing, the blade shape is just fantastic. This thumb choil. I don't know. It just works well. It's a really good design. Even the flipper tab, I'm not the biggest flipper fan, but I like how it kind of upturns right there. I don't know, it looks cool. Everything on this knife kind of works well, in my opinion. And super functional too. You got jimping on the back of this flipper tab. It's just super nice. So this uses a stop pin that does the closed position and open position. In order to get it to work, it is pretty thin. I mean, that is one thing that I was kind of like, ooh, that's a pretty thin stop pin. In the closed position, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But this is what's, taking the full force of opening the knife. Luckily, it is fully, or mostly, I believe. Oh, actually, not really. I was going to say it's fully shouldered, but it's actually not. You can see right there, it hits on that flat right there. So it's actually not shouldered. So that's not, wouldn't be my favorite, especially for a thinner pin like that. Now, that pin is set in 2 slabs of titanium, so it's not like it's hitting G10 or anything. And then for it to work on the closed position, they have a huge channel dug out of that, right under that flipper, right? And that's just a logistical thing so that you can get the flipper high enough to be effective, but then still have that stop pin work for both. Not really something easily to resolve. However, they could change this shouldering thing. Like they could put a curve in here so that it kind of cupped around this stop pin rather than being a flat. Because the idea is the more you flip it, you're going to start putting a little divot on that flat right there, and that's going to make this sit back ever so slightly, which will then cause the lock bar to move in ever so slightly. However, being a steel lock bar insert, I don't see that being as a major problem. Lock up right now is about at 30%. Even if it moved to 40%, 50%. Still perfectly good. Another critique on this knife, which I believe they're fixing with the V4, so I hate to bring it up because it's already been taken care of, is there's not much chamfering inside here, if at all. I mean, there's some slight chamfering on the lock bar side, but it's not, there's no channel milled in here. It's kind of flat against flat. Now, luckily, because the geometry is done so well, the lock bar pressure doesn't need to be super strong, so it's easy to disengage. Like, I don't actually have any issue with it. But it is something that would be nice to have a little chamfering in there, which in the V5 or V4, they said they're resolving that. Haven't actually seen it play out, but I believe they're adding that there. They're doing a lot of stuff. They're doing the radiusing the handles, which I don't know if I love. I kind of actually like the flat slabs. I like kind of how thin this is. Like, it just feels good. I am worried on the V4 that it's going to be a little too thin, because already it's like perfect, right? I'm worried if it's radiused, it's just going to feel, the handle's just going to feel too thin, but we'll see. So that's it. That's it. 20 minutes. Jeez. J-Cape 3.5 full size. Really cool company. Really cool knife. If you're interested in this kind of stuff, check them out. They are kind of hard to get, but that's what makes it fun, right? You know what I mean? That's what makes it fun. All right, guys, I'm out. Talk to you later.